the floor. Yeah. So while people are coming in the room, I would like to give a floor to our next speaker. It's Rimas Varkulevičius, advisor to Energy Minister of Lithuania, and we are very glad that you found the time to come here. Your floor is yours.
Thank you. Good. Yeah. Oh, okay. More or less visible. Thank you for inviting me to this interesting seminar. Actually, being in the position of the advisor to the minister, I have some kind of, I would say, limits of expression of my personal ideas. But nevertheless, I would like to do that because I'm not a bureaucratic one. I was working for the industries many years, actually, and dealing with the gas supply. Actually, I know the gas not only by the formula, but I know very well by the smell. What does it mean and impact how it works? And actually, Juris asked me just to talk about the legislation in the means of how legislation could support changes of the gas, let's say, commercially and in some respect politically. Because just probably you know that role of the energy in the impact of the state policy quite huge. And why? The government priorities were even the new government, which is took the power in 2012, was actually the independence. Why the LNG carrier is entitled the same way. And of course, implementation of the strategic projects, synchronization, power grids, and power supply integration in the European Union systems. And of course, we have to achieve all the competitive results and of course the development local capacities as industrial, as energy generations, and of course interconnection energy networks with the EU system. That was the policy priorities which are on the way to be implemented. And just to demonstrate, or actually we have seen from the point of view of first part of the session, seminar presenters, that dependence of the country, like Latvia, which started, let's say, 2011, 78%. If you are binded or you are connected your body to the supply of the blood from the outside, let's say, pump, how much you are depending, 70–80%, it's quite important. And what our result is that in 2020 to reach only 24% of the supply from the, let's say, 24 from one supplier and next 28, 25 from other ones. Others should be renewables and nuclear supply, if you'll agree, of course, politically, commercially, financially, with in Baltic states on the new power station project. Balance, in the terms of the balance as well, just you see the cycles marked as the cycles of the gas imports. We have to reduce significantly from the one supply, of course, which is, of course, Gazprom, to the alternative. It was already very impressive and emotional discussions about LNG terminal. That's a political decision, and this is now not discussed. Even in the big business or real business, if decision is made, is going to be implemented. Of course, flexibly, or just with some kind of creativities related to the market tendencies, but it should be done. And why the decision is done and is moving forward. And my colleague afterwards will do this, will make these presentations, which result, which level already we achieved. The red cover, we see that that's a Lithuanian price. If with this price we have to go to the market with our products, if I have to be back every day home, and my wife knows that I am coordinator of negotiations of the gas contract with Gazprom, every day she is asking me what is achieved and why our bill is so big and so huge. And I have to think how it should be reduced. But our family consumption of the gas, it's not so quite big one, and we can afford to pay. But when we speak about the industries, unfortunately the price is big from one hand. From the other hand, of course, some of the industries, they declare that for us not so important to have high price on gas. For us more important to have high price on our products. If it's related, let's say, to the company which has produced fertilizers and consume half of the gas consumption in Lithuania. But nevertheless, this cover makes the biggest impact why we have to go forward every day, reaching the results in terms of LNG terminal and in terms of establishment of the grid. It's not so visible. The gas supply infrastructure already was discussed. We have some kind of important of this to improve. And what I would like to remind, it was not yet discussed that we have so-called gas transit, which goes to Kaliningrad region. It's cover approximately 2.2, 2.5 BCM annually of the gas supply. And it's some kind of interesting point which is unique in terms of entry-exit methodology for European Union, and this has some kind of impact of the gas supply system and infrastructure development. Even the no problem for the moment of the gas in the gas supply to Kaliningrad region, but we have to develop even in the future for the when we speak about our underground project or interconnection with Poland. Yes, of course, not yet started, but this is on the list of the beneath projects and our government policy. Law, actually, that's already. I would say that I try to explain why the law was changed. It was the circumstances already I mentioned earlier: competitive, economically reliable, impact. Designated authority which should be responsible, all the market problems, negative consequences on the arising from the isolation from the market, even to leave this island of the gas supply, and of course to have the strategic projects which would be built in the system for the transmission, and of course connection to the Western European gas transmission networks. That's a core issues which are fixed in our law. Independence of the national regulator, it's quite important, and we have to increase this. This is, and even in some terms, what I would like to stress that high price of the gas has direct impact on the biomass. Now we are just very impressed by the increasing of the biomass usage of this alternative for green energy. But nevertheless, the national regulator in some cases is obliged to have regulation paying attention to the gas price which we have now. And if area, let's say that taking a very simple example that to heat the house for 200 square meters, we need 500 cubic meters gas, which will cost, let's say, 1,000 liters. That 3 years ago or 2 years ago, the same amount of the using of their beer granules, it was 250, let's say 300 liters. Now the same price of the today, we have the biomass granules cost approximately 700 liters. It means increase of the biomass impacted by the gas price. That's why the national regulator should have enough impact to be strong in terms of protection of the consumers, the price for the which goes to the consumers. Ownership and bonding. That's Lithuania choose as we are entitled most drastic version. From one hand, from other hand, already I have mentioned that this choice was dictated or just guided by the decisions government made. LNG terminal, pipelines, current situation, this cover on the top, red cover, which we are paying the price. Otherwise, probably would be not possible to reach the results. And the supplier, from supplier, the transmission system operator only can own network and manage the network. Already it's implemented. And no control, only monitoring, dividends allowed, please. Otherwise, the owner, if supplier is related to the if the company is related to the supplier and becoming staying in the position of the owner of the shareholders, he is becoming sleeping shareholder. I am just directly entitled that the title "What is happening," and it has impact on the, let's say, monopolic rights, or just improving the system, or that's the biggest impact on the liberalization of the system. What's happening that already July 31 last year, legally and functionally separation started, and it works very well. And before the 31 of October 2000, this year, it will become ownership and bonding will be finally completed, and we will have, let's say, the final position, and this transmission operator will work independently, including their activities in terms of gas transportation to Kaliningrad region. Probably it's quite important. There are a lot of questions about our negotiations to Gazprom. Actually, I would like to thank your Latvian position in terms that always what we are doing, we are showing to Gazprom what the prices in Latvia are. And I would say that it's very helpful for us that we have more or less conditions. And usually from Gazprom we hear the sound that Latvia increased the gas consumption. What I have seen in the previous position, that from 1.8 to 1 to 6, it means increasing. It's not means increasing, just we know what the situation is in Lithuania as well. I'm mistaking that our consumption year 2010 or year 2011 was on the level 3.4 BCM. Last year we have had 3.13 somewhere, and the best what we can reach in the year 2020, it would be, let's say, 2.8 or maximum 3.3 BCM. Even just including LNG terminal. It means that market is not growing. And when I asked our president of Biomass Association, I asked Remigius how much you will take the gas, change the gas by your biomass. He said, Rimas, 700 million tons easily. That's a signal which could have impact on the, of course, the market. And even Gazprom, the position taking the high price, reducing the market. I don't want to use the word killing, but actually reducing. That's obvious. That's a principle which is exists in any kind of commercial behavior. If you are keeping high price for any kind of, even for the potatoes, the consumers will start to eat porridge or even something other in terms of usage. And of course, we have more things to speak about negotiations with Gazprom. But from other hand, I would like to say that these negotiations we continue, and the dispute exists in comparison that our previous government, unfortunately, was not so intensively working on that. In our case, we have our official group, which is formed from the government officials and from the ministry officials, from the some kind of external experts, and this dispute is quite, I would say, valuable and fruitful. Next point as well, which will have impact on the prices, that's a European Commission investigation on anti-competitive practice Gazprom, and we expect that some results in the near future we will see. Statement of objections should be shown. We expect that in March or latest in April. And the declarations of the Mr. Barroso, Oettinger are very, very clear. And Mr. Almunia, even yesterday, he made some announcement after the Gazprom made a proposal. Unfortunately, we don't know what was proposed, but we would have some kind of interest to that, to know what Gazprom proposed to the European Union in terms of making a global settlement or settlement on the dispute, how they would like to improve these conditions. But we expect from the declaration that we will reach a result, and the statement of objections will be issued positively to the countries which are paying by the gas price. That's of course the main thing what we are seeking and what we are advising to the European Union Commission. That's to pay attention to the fair price. We call the unfair price. That fair price could be established, and of course access of the alternative suppliers to the market. What is the future? That if we have now no gas interconnections with the European Union, no gas market, that in the tendencies what we have to form, if we have established, we will establish LNG terminal this year. If next coming years will be, so we will start with the projects of the pipelines with Poland, improving the pipelines to Latvia. We have full rights and actually technical possibilities, like basically I am a commercial man. We have to form the Baltic gas hub. Not for the huge one, and even with the last declarations, I would say that when I am speaking about this hub, I see not only Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Kaliningrad region, Poland, but as well I see Belarus in the terms of this hub. The scenarios which Russia proposed for the Ukraine cost a lot of financial resources, and how they could keep long this position for the cheap gas, it's quite conditional. That's why important that speaking about security, speak about the commercial possibilities, it's very important to think about our hub possibilities and to have the, let's say, small common market in the Baltic states, which is fully related to the European Union supply. And of course, supply from the east, and to have the negotiations on the equal rights among the more countries. And we have to speak by one voice, not only by European Union, but first of all in Baltic states. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Varkulevičius, for coming and for very comprehensive presentation. I think it gave us very many answers, which we hear here in Latvia, talking about the Lithuanian example. Well, I am not really very proud that you can use Latvian price as in investigations, but well, we have always discount of 15% or something like that. But okay, it's like a partly of joke. But we would like to continue with the Lithuanian. With the Klaipėda LNG terminal, and I would very glad to see here Tadas Matulonis, Deputy Director of the Klaipėda LNG terminal. We will see what is the status of this terminal today.
Thank you very much. Labdien. And I would like to start where Rimas left. With a short reminder why it is so urgent to have an alternative supply of natural gas for my country. To explain a bit about the overall setup of the LNG terminal in Klaipėda, to tell you where we are at the moment with the construction of it, and to explain the business model and the possibilities of using the terminal capacities. It should take no more than 15 minutes, as I was told. So, yes, first of all, it is a matter of security of supply in terms of market, in terms of interconnection, availability of interconnections, and in terms of prices. As it has been told already earlier today, the market, as we understand it, in the Baltic countries for the natural gas is not existing, and the interlinks and the possibility to use them are very weak. There are, as we also know, projects to improve the situation in terms of additional supply sources, as the LNG terminal in Klaipėda that is being built. We have single source of supply at the moment, and consequently or not, we also pay the highest price in the market. And it was just a brief reminder on the urgency of having an alternative source. And it is envisaged that the LNG terminal in Klaipėda will induce the competition at least on Lithuanian national, but hopefully on the regional level as well. It will help to diversify energy sources, to ensure security of supply, and most importantly, to provide an access to the global market, so that ultimately the prices in our market will reflect those on the global market. The schedule of the project is less than 3 years, and we are already in the 3rd year. It's the very fast track project, and it is envisaged that the terminal will start commercial operations already end of this year. So it's less than 3 years from the moment the FID was taken for the project. What it consists of? 3 main parts. The main part is the state-of-the-art FSRU floating regasification and storage unit, and 2 items of the local infrastructure that are currently being built, a half-kilometer long jetty, and the connection to the national gas transmission grid. The terminal is nicely sheltered deep in the port of Klaipėda, which I also should mention is a nice free port, allowing operations of the terminal all year round. The biggest part of SRU itself has left dry dock in South Korea already May last year, and the construction of it is nearly completed with the testing of the vessel and regasification of equipment underway. Here I couldn't resist adding a number of pictures of the equipment just to illustrate. This is the regasification unit, the most expensive and the most complex part of the vessel. This FSRU will be able to operate on two modes. Our terminal is the most northern FSRU-based terminal in the world, so it will be able both to burn gas to produce heat for regasification process during the winter, during the cold season, but it will also be able to use the heat or the energy from the lagoon water during the warm period of the year. An illustration of the cargo tanks from the ships, which was the longest part of the construction process that has been completed just before the end of the year last year. The vessel has a storage capacity of 170,000 cubic meters LNG and theoretically could reach a maximum regasification capacity of nearly 4 BCM a year. Probably we'll skip some technicalities due to the quality of the picture. Just to indicate the arrangement here inside the port of Klaipėda, you can see the jetty to which the FSRU will be permanently moored, and the arriving LNG vessels will be moored alongside the FSRU. And the jetty that is being built is designed to withstand virtually any meteorological conditions, so again, allowing the operations of the terminal all year round. A few pictures from the current construction from last week, most likely, where we have driving or hammering of the piles going on in the port. More than half of them are already completed, and I'm also happy to say that last week we have obtained the last construction permit for the terminal, enabling the remaining part of the construction. The pipeline that will connect the terminal in the port to the national grid is around 18 kilometers long and is being built in parallel. The most complex, probably, part of this construction is so-called horizontal direct drilling underneath the lagoon, underneath the port, and the length of it is almost 3 kilometers, probably one of the longest drillings of this type in Europe, but it is also the most environmentally friendly solution, and it also doesn't prevent an expansion of the port later on. I should start the description of the business model with the statement that there is a complete unbundling of the activities. So my company, Klaipėdos Nafta, is only building the terminal and will later on be an operator of the terminal, but in no way our company will be involved in gas trading as such. The terminal capacities will be offered freely on the market through the open and transparent capacity allocation procedure. and there will be no exemptions from the third-party access requirement from day one of the operations of the terminal, enabling the capacities of the terminal to be booked by the suppliers to fill the demand in Lithuania or in the wider region if other circumstances allow it. And it is also open for so-called small-scale LNG activities as well. There is only a small part of the terminal capacities which is initially booked by law for so-called designated supplier that has to supply the minimum required amount of LNG through the terminal for the initial period, operations period, so-called diversification period. I will not bother you with the more detailed description of the services, but I wanted to mention that I have also left here some brochures that are also available on our website, and we have launched in December a market consultation, or the consultation with the market participants, and please take one if you are interested, and we also look forward to receiving your comments. And on our website there will be terminal documents continuously uploaded for the consultation with the market participants, and we obviously are very happy to receive any comments so that we can improve our model to better suit the market requirements. And the terminal rules are obviously based on the best practices from the other terminals and also on the EU requirements. I will only mention a few aspects of it. So the capacities will be offered both for the primary market, but also the terminal participants will be able to trade capacities on the secondary market as well. And capacities will be offered for both long-term and short-term use. And of course, all the capacities will be offered on the based on the completely transparent procedures. On the next steps, I've mentioned the market consultation, which is ongoing, and we may introduce some adjustments based on what we hear from the market, and after that, the official capacity allocation procedure will start at some point during the first half this year. A few words about the financing of the terminal project, which has been completely secured, both from Klaipėdos Nafta owned sources and from external sources. And I should mention that the loan facility from the European Investment Bank plays a vital role in financing the project. I should also mention that from the first day of operations, the terminal will also be fully open, not only for the delivery of the natural gas to the grid, to the system, but also to so-called small-scale LNG activities. And the physical geographical location of the terminal in the Baltic Sea area is very well suited, as we believe. And it may include transshipment to the smaller terminal if those are being built in the area for the LNG bunkering, as the industry expects that area to grow, and even to fill auto tankers or railway tanker cars. So to sum up, it's the first full-scale terminal in the area that is operational from the end of this year. Sorry, I haven't adjusted my presentation. It will be operational all year round at a nice free port of Klaipėda. It will offer infrastructure for the small-scale LNG activities as well. mention the third-party access that hopefully will ensure competition on our national and possibly on the regional level, and it also will be operated by the company that has more than 4 decades of safely and efficiently operating terminals at Klaipėda port. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Matulonis, for this very interesting presentation of LNG in Klaipėda. And we will make a not very significant changes in our agenda. We just will give a floor to Ando Lepiman instead of Juris Ozoliņš, who will speak later on. Ando Lepiman is Vice Chancellor of Estonian Ministry of Economics and Communications. Floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, and sorry for this switch. I should hurry to the plane. So it's very convenient to come from Tallinn to here to Riga to have just a couple of hours seminar and just go back as well. I was asked from Mr. Ozoliņš to tell you about what we are doing in Estonia, in the Estonian gas market, in our legislation, and in quite many slides actually I'm more or less repeating what had been said already during today's presentations. So I tried to skip them and concentrate more to the issues which might be more relevant to Estonia. But still, it's very good to explain when looking a little bit more wider picture. I mean, European-wide or Eastern Baltic region-wide picture, why Estonia have chosen the way what we have chosen. So basically, yeah, the colors are pretty bad, but you can imagine where is the Baltic states and where is the rest of the Europe. So, so in that respect, just to indicate what is the influence of different kind of gas hubs to different areas of Europe. So definitely both Baltic states as well as Finland are heavily controlled by the one single supplier, and this is basically the same picture. So it's a kind of report made by Booz and Company for European Commission to indicate that which regions and which countries are mostly affected by one single supplier. So as you can see, all the Baltic states as well as Finland, 100% dependence on one single supplier. The same what have been already said, but one other aspect in here. Also, it was studied by the consultancy that how much the gas consumption might increase if there could be diversified supply for the Baltic states and Finland. So what they found out basically was that we could grow from 10 billion cubic meters, which is more or less today's consumption in 4 countries, to up to 16 billion cubic meters if there are some other supply sources. Taking into account alternative use of natural gas, and additionally even 1.5 billion cubic meters for bunkering services. As you know, Baltic Sea is under this sulfur emission treaty. Coming from Europe to Baltic states, then just to indicate in where all 3 countries currently are in terms of the natural gas use. As you can see, Estonia is pretty low in there. The natural gas consumption have lowered from 2008 quite substantially. This is due to the one fertilizer producer, which is a quite high gas consumer in Estonia. They have just stopped their production because of the high gas price, actually. And even further, the gas price actually is not competitive in those areas where it had been quite often used as fuel for boiler houses in district heating system. So it's much more feasible in today's world to switch from natural gas to biomass. And in case of Estonia, for example, there are only very few cities, big cities, using the natural gas still, and already they have plans to switch to biomass. So most likely also in the heating sector the natural gas share will decrease even further. Going further, then 3 Baltic states made a joint risk assessment in 2012 to understand that which kind of risk scenarios we have. And I just put it to the pictures, one of them, which is the most with the most lowest possibility, but it can happen, which means that we don't have the connection from Russia, as well as we don't have the Inčukalns natural gas underground storage in our use. I'm not going to describe all the figures in here. And this joint risk assessment is prepared by the ministries and is publicly available. So if you would like to see that, yes. Okay. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I can do that. This joint risk assessment basically just describes different possibilities what we might occur in Baltic states, and one of the problematic ones is really that if the Inčukalns storage is out of order, if we don't have the import during the winter time in one of the pipelines from Russia, then really we are in the difficulty. And not only the Baltic states, but as well Kaliningrad. So you can see that this shortage in case of disruption is quite substantial in terms of cubic meters already during 3 days, for example. So of course, this is the issue what we have take into account, and this have been the matter why Estonia chose the way to start put its emphasis to natural gas market, and also to drop this derogation what we had from the directive. Coming to Estonia, the natural gas pipeline is looking like this. So what is our problem in Estonia is that we don't have currently any compressor station in the border. So basically it's free flow to Estonia. We are not able to control it at all. Of course, all the other matters what have already discussed, except the one that we have indicated that in infrastructure means we don't fulfill this N-1 criteria. Actually, it have improved, and now we can even calculate that it exceeds 100%. Because there have been reconstruction work done between Narva and St. Petersburg. So basically, the Russian system is allowing for additional gas supplies. So basically, this N-1 criteria seems to be fulfilled. But at the same time, it's infrastructure criteria. So if something happens with the supplies, then it's definitely the issue. On the other hand, in our total energy balance, the natural gas, like said, constitutes less and less. So definitely it's not anyhow looked as a critical matter in Estonia. So quite quickly we are able to find some substitute fuel for that. But still, as in globally, the gas markets are evolving, then definitely Estonia could take part of that. Again, one picture which is not too well visible, but actually it just shows very bluntly that what is the gas price together with the transmission system operator price for the end consumers. And as you can see, from 2006 to 2014, the gas price have increased from, the numbers are not visible as well, some 125 euros per 1,000 cubic meters to where it is at the moment, more than 400. So extremely rapid increase of the price. And even the suppliers themselves, I mean the company Eesti Gas, which is a subsidiary of Gazprom and also owned by Fortum and EON and Itera, is the management is saying by themselves that yes, the problem is that the gas consumption is decreasing. We are not competitive in the market. So definitely this rapid increase on one hand is causing this decrease of the gas consumption itself. So should be thinking over whether it should be tied with oil prices or indexed with oil prices currently. And of course, in terms of the consumers, I mean, I'm the end consumer or household consumer by myself, so definitely, I mean, if I have cheaper solution to switch to I don't know, biomass pellets, for example, then most likely I will do that. Which opportunities we had in Estonia when we started to look at this gas market? So there were basically two ways to go forward. One was to start from unbundling processes, unbundle the TSO, and really to create or to have the transmission system operator which takes the responsibility to evolve and grow the market. Or the other way was, I mean, very strictly to start to diversify the supply sources and think about this TSO unbundling later on. We chose the way to unbundle the TSO in first hand, and at the same time also start putting emphasis on interconnection and additional supply sources as terminal, for example. Also, what we are doing at the current state, I mean, it's kind of separate issue for today's discussions, but we are investigating kind of biomass use for biomethane production, and even though it is not kind of competitive with the current natural gas prices, then when we are looking for the transportation use, then in accordance with the calculations and then kind of feasibility analysis currently, it shows that it could be very competitive with liquid fuels used in transportation. So this biomethane or producing our own gas is definitely the topic, and already two pilot projects are undergoing at the moment to perform this action. Also, opportunities definitely to be more cooperative with our neighbors, with Latvia, Lithuania, Finland, to start to elaborate common rules, harmonized legislations, and different models, entry-exit models in the natural gas market, because most likely we don't succeed as a single countries, but we could succeed as a region in here. Coming to the legislation, we had already quite kind of good legislation in a way before this unbundling process. It was good in a way that the gas market, like such, was opened. It's still opened. So basically, every customer has its free will to choose the seller of the gas. But of course, I mean, the gas is coming from one single wholesale seller. So in that respect, of course, there were only the distribution system operators who were taking this responsibility to sell this gas further to the consumers. But in that respect, the market is opened. And even though Estonia had this derogation or transitional period from this unbundling of the TSO, then, like said, we decided to go different way still to implement this third energy package, also for unbundling, and reason for that was really to diversify our sources, to create the market, and what we saw as well was that really the situation in the global markets have changed. I mean, all these shale gas booms, everything like this, as well as kind of evolvement of the gas shipment equipment. So yeah, from summer 2012, the legislation is effective. It says very frankly that by 1st of January 2015, the TSO should have the new owner, which is independent from the current supplier and gas seller. So it's full unbundling in a way, and the current kind of picture shows that we are more or less on track with this. The mother company Eesti Gas have put their assets to the separate company, TSO assets. They have separated the distribution system and transmission system companies, and looking for potential new owner for those transmission system operator assets, and of course, the state itself is not much involved in this process because Estonian state doesn't have any shares in our gas company Eesti Gas, so they have definitely free will to choose the new owner for the TSO or take the activities what they would like to, but still by the beginning of next year the law says that the new owner have to be certified and act in accordance with our legislation as well as the EU legislation. If they don't, then they don't get the license for activities, and they have to pay penalties for that. So let's see how the process is going. In the beginning of last year, they had to submit a kind of activity list together with the dates to our energy regulator, competition authority, what they are going to do. So so far we are relieved because they have acted in accordance with this what they have promised. So let's hope everything continues in a proper manner in that respect. Also, just briefly, so to say that what is happening in a customer side, like I said, of course, the wholesale market is controlled by one single company, but then the end customers market is more or less opened. We have altogether 25 distribution companies of natural gas. Some of them are selling also gas, some not. But of course, the market share of Eesti Gas subsidiary is huge, 91%. So in that respect, of course, the smaller distribution system operators have just developed in accordance with, for example, real estate developments and issues like that. Our network tariffs are regulated by our energy regulator, so Estonian Competition Authority is responsible to set the margin for network operations, both TSO and DSO. The gas price itself is not regulated, but we are using kind of ex ante model in there. So basically, if the margin for gas wholesale is too high, then the competition authority has possibility to influence for that. And also at the end of each calendar year, Eesti Gas is making kind of settlement of accounts. Actually, last year it happened that they have also paid back some money to the customers because the gas price have lowered or the consumer price have lowered. So in that respect, I mean, for the company itself, we don't have any kind of problems to be raised. Coming to the future of Baltic or Eastern Baltic market development, what I could say from Estonian side, we are pretty happy concerning the infrastructure developments. EU have adopted their regulations and acts concerning which projects have to be done to implement the isolated state of Eastern Baltic market. So they are listed in here. The regional terminal projects, where we still have listed 4 of them, also 1 in Riga. Then Lithuania-Poland link, intra-Baltic connections, enlargement of Inčukalns storage. So in that respect, the basis is very good to start developing and to start invest into the infrastructure projects. So in that respect, we just have to find proper model how we are allocating those costs into our TSO tariffs. So of course we are still struggling. I mean, Estonia and Finland are not yet made their minds where this regional LNG terminal should be in accordance with our kind of attitude and understanding. The better socio-economic impact is when the terminal is going to be located in Estonian territory. The Finns are thinking vice versa. So let's see. The consultations with the European Commission are undergoing, and hopefully we are managing to find proper solution for the first round of call for proposals of PCA. What is more problematic, I would say, is legislation development in our area. because we have, in one sense, similar, but on the other hand, not very well coordinated legislations in Baltic states and Finland. So most definitely it would be wise to have more cooperation, more kind of talking even to each other that how we should elaborate those legislative acts. Of course, some of them are coming from the EU side. For example, the network codes are under preparation at the moment in Commission. So these are issues most likely will be solved in such a manner, but still, in which way our energy regulators are agreeing on network tariff, for example, those issues could be the ones to negotiate further on, and of course, third-party access, for example. I mean, most likely what we are seeing in the future when the markets are evolving is that we are going to have more market players, more wholesale market players, and definitely capacity booking mechanisms, entry-exit models. Really, the third-party access are the ones which could be elaborated further on for the whole region. Of course, I wouldn't say that we don't have any cooperation at all. I mean, of course, we have even a joint work group established for that reason. But of course, each single state has its own kind of problems at the current state. So I mean, to have kind of broader sense and broader look for those issues, I think it could be enhanced much more. So that's from my side. If you have any questions, of course, I'm delighted to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lepimanu, for this very interesting presentation. You are leaving at 1 o'clock, yeah, or a bit later? Okay, so we can expect. So, well, just one note, I think it's very important. You have seen in Estonian legislation, to really complete gas liberalization, you need 2.5 years. Around it was June 2012 to expect the liberalization is coming fully, in the start of 2015. The same as Lithuania, approximately 2.5 years it's necessary. So if Latvia will not change this year, then we cannot expect anything will be done in April 2017. That's just for thinking for the parliamentarians particularly here. So I will pass the floor to Juris Ozoliņš to now you will be in two roles, moderator and speakers. That's why you have to.
Not easy to be the same to wear two hats, but I will start as a speaker. I will come back closer to our body, piece of legislation in Latvian Parliament, and consequences and implications after that. Why we need to talk about markets and liberalization of customer? I would even put simply liberalized customer. Give him rights to choose. This is the essence of all these reforms in EU started in early 90s. With the first directive, then second one in 99, and then second one in 2003, and then 2009 with the third package. And now we are here. Most European countries completed, and they gave rights to all customers to choose a supplier. And also most countries completed unbundling of functions. I'm not saying necessarily unbundling ownership, but unbundling functions, sales from operation of networks, providing third-party access to all customers. We are on the end of the list at the moment. Why? Why we need to talk about liberalization? Do we have some rationale behind that? I put you four dates, and on the top, this is information from of Union of Gas Transmission Network, ENSO-G, and Gazum, saying that interconnector would be ready in 17th. Gas storage will start commercial operation in 2018. As we see, Independence would be coming this year in a Klaipėda, Independence, which is a terminal. And also that interconnection would be operational in 2019, opposite to pessimism of Atis Lage. This is what I got. Maybe I got too much optimistic information, but it is what we need to comply. We need to base our decisions. I put it on physical possibility to trade gas. I put in energy terms. Again, don't pay very much attention what gigawatt hours per day means. But is somebody from Latvia still here? We consuming in Latvia about 22 gigawatt hours per day electricity. If you look on numbers here, what might be traded, and it might be traded in two ways. These are much, much bigger. I would say this is a good basis, as Anders said, for trade, and no reason to delay. Always confusing are prices. Again, I made this estimate from financial report of Latvia's Gāze, and this is what I got. To make comparison with European standards, euros per megawatt hour on border, or world standards in dollars per million British thermal units, I got like this. Anyway, it is still good reason to talk about alternative. Listening my colleagues here, I would say, I was thinking, if somebody would like to increase use of gas, he need to provide alternative, saying gas would be reasonable charged, and you have alternative to use something else. I don't think it is possible to keep customers captured if you are not providing alternative. I believe this is also the model of Gazprom in Europe. These guys are smart enough. They trading gas in the hubs, and they know how to do this. And they will find also their business model in the Baltics even being fully liberalized. So, starting with why markets? Markets just enable customers to make comparison on prices and goods and commodity as gas is. Markets cannot promise low prices. Don't listen to them, those who are saying this. I believe, be careful with those who are also promising very high prices. Also similarly true. And internal markets are designed for customers first, not for industry, not for monopolies. Energy providers are exposed to competition. And this is basics when you're working with gas, electricity, or any other legislation when we're talking about benefits of customers. So all these reforms started both in electricity and gas with a meaning eligible customer, because fully opening market is definitely the huge problem for operators to cope with such amount of customers immediately, providing metering, data collection. delays, in that case, choice of biggest customers. For that, markets had been opened in starting with the biggest industries first, step by step wise, preparing operators and allowing customers to learn. So it is done. 2007. In everywhere, customers do have a choice to use a supplier. So I believe even we would have a legislation like, or assume members of parliament will vote for a piece of legislation which they do have on the table, there would be some legal battle if, assuming that some big Latvian customer would like to buy gas from Klaipėda, for instance, Tadas. Because there is a reciprocity. You cannot put in one country such burden or saying, no, we don't like to allow, for instance, Latvenergo to buy gas because we don't like it. Because eligibility in Lithuania and Estonia will put some pressure on competition authorities and government as such. The basic principle is third-party access, which means allow customer to have deals. This is a third-party access. I believe also in a proposal, third-party access is interpreted very narrow, saying that third-party access is just a terminal in Klaipėda and we will give you access to the storage. Not at all. Customer first. Well, but again, there is no prevention to conclude long-term agreements as well. This is what the directive is saying. What is already done in other countries, they do have a system operator, transmission system operator, in any of three forms allowed. Lithuania, Estonia choose or let's say forcing ownership and unbundling. They had not been confiscated assets, but putting the pressure, you guys would have a problem, or I'm wrong, Rimas. So. Okay. But at least in Estonia, it's like this. Company will decide. And I believe that was my question when I completed the first one, saying what would happen in 2017. Okay, that would be 100-year celebration of Great October Revolution, but I really hope it would not be repeated, and assets would be not seized by government. So I believe this is what a company is waiting from Latvian government and parliament. Please say which way you would like to go. At the moment, a piece of legislation is saying nothing about that, saying no, never. It would never happen. Distribution is, as said, as a very important part of proposal, and it is first step to liberalization. It's nothing. Because if you do not have third-party access, why you need to take out a distribution company or to create an operator? You need to think about realities. You might start with the biggest customers. Well, take or pay, yeah. This is taken into account if you do have such an agreement. Maybe Latvia's Gas do have such, but I never had heard publicly said that they would have difficulties with such agreement. Well, that's interesting. I like to ask interpreters how you will interpret in Latvian emergent market. Could you tell? Nobody listening. Yeah. In the legislation, it said new markets, but emergent market is absolutely different concept. Emergent market is when you do have some local production, and you built a new pipeline from somewhere, and then you concluded agreement exactly on this pipeline, and then you have a right not to give third-party access for a certain time before investment is paid back. It might be Albania, it might be probably some parts of other countries. Latvia never had been qualified for that for a very simple reason, because what this article about the consequences. Then you need to immediately liberalize 33% of your market. So, but again, back on meaning emergent market. This is something dynamic, developing, creating. You're building new infrastructure in your country, you're expanding, you're making big investments, never had been in Latvia. So what we do have, the same as Ando said, we do have a problem with, we do have derogations, not immediately start with creation of distribution operators and so on, up till any of our 4 countries is connected. What piece of legislation is saying, if only Latvia is connected, which probably never would happen, because we are connected with Russia. The only alternative, if Russia would become a member of European Union, then you would be connected. Again, people need to read the directive again and again. And also saying nothing with emergent market. This subparagraph is without prejudice to derogation. So the moment we have to fulfill all these obligations under directive, when one of these alternative emerge. 2015 is here. Practically, legally, maybe legal. Okay, maybe lawyers might play somehow, saying no, this is not an interconnection. This is not connected to the other member states. But again, thinking by logic, why not? So this is I think this is a task for Latvian legislator, government to find the right wording. Again, back. Why now? For a very simple reason. Company, this would be not the government who will make restructuring, as you said. No, you said. It's not to government. Everything would be done by company. They will choose a model. They will propose a model. You would be listening. Oh, yeah, maybe this, maybe that. How much it costs. You will probably not charge your customer. This is restructuring is internal costs. You might do this only on profit. And time to do. Definitely might be question. Do we have alternative to market? Why we need to do this all expensive and troublemaking? Yeah, there is alternative. And with full regards and full respect to Russian nation and Ukrainian nation, I took this example and these numbers, because definitely there would be discussions how such kind of model is it sustainable or not sustainable, and what model you believe, markets or model like this. This is a very smart game, and so many things behind this. But again, I really don't like our countries be involved in such kind of price setting. So, just take it out. Just one remark on 2017. I would confess that nothing would happen with the ownership, because what is said, what I know about purchase and agreement with the Gazprom and that time Rurgas and Latvian Privatization Agency, they provide exclusive licenses on transmission, distribution, and storage will be always exclusive. But these are only rights to operate and make a business. This is nothing with third-party access, which is needed for markets. Common market rules, I fully agree with my colleagues. We need to think very carefully on common market rules, common principles, how you will allow customer in Estonia buy gas from Klaipėda or in Latvia and vice versa, store it back, allow markets to work. This is important. Good news is that all operational documents are already done by system operators. They are already in a regulatory agency in Ljubljana, all about how to connect, how to balance. Nothing new. It's done. But principles, we need to agree. That's probably too long. Thank you. And now, if we do have some time, questions now. Yeah, that's right, but also. Yeah. May I ask you, please, take a seat for a very simple reason, because we need to thank you. Yeah, take it. Yeah, please use the opportunity to ask questions to Tadas and Ando and Rimas at this stage.
I think it's not emergent market, but emerging market. Emerging market, yeah. Okay, when will Klaipėda terminal pay for itself? When will the revenues cover the costs? When will the investment pay off? When will you start making a profit? How many years?
I probably will not have a number in my head at the moment. It's based on the depreciation on the assets, but I should start with stating that it's a fully regulated asset. So equally as for any assets in the regulated industry, it is a national regulator for the prices that evaluates the actual investments, the various depreciation periods for those investments, and sets the tariffs for the use of the infrastructure, which should ensure the payback of the investment.
Online. Yeah. More? Some more questions? Oh, yeah, please.
Jānis Eisaks, Public Utilities Commission. My question is to Klaipėda terminal representative. We all know that LNG is supplied by the most of the suppliers is a quite nasty mixture. Did you foresee some conditioning of the LNG foreseen on the FSRU? Or on the other hand, did you evaluate the influence of the permanently changing gas chemical composition to the large consumers, for example, like Achim or power producers?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a well-known fact, fully agree with you, that the gas composition from various sources of LNG differs. So last year, the Ministry of Energy approved by a decree gas quality requirements. So there is a certain specification range that imported LNG should meet. And this specification was developed, taken into account the requirements of the gas consumers. So this is the way how it will be ensured.
One more and last question, please. Before Gatti Sabel is going to speak, then you will never stop him.
Yes, but I still have this question about alternatives, because what we are speaking now is that we are believing that LNG is alternative. It will bring us cheaper gas. What we see now, LNG prices are high. And in medium term, as it was rightly mentioned, they will stay high. And what we get by pipe is lower. And I just wanted to know whether at some point we started to discuss that one of the alternative options might be building alternative pipe from Europe. But what I see now, and maybe somebody can tell me, what is the realistic kind of time frame for this? Because we see that for time being, let's be realistic and frank, it's blocked, and it's not moving forward. And we have these discussions, and time is running, and nothing is happening on this. Because let's be frank, LNG now goes to Asia. And Asia's demand will stay high for years. And LNG market is free market. And LNG, even if it's very cheap at Henry Hub in US, it will go to Japan if the price will be $18 per million BTU. That's it.
Yeah, we do have an answer.
Yeah, actually, I fully agree. I'm actually started from the position of the commercial company or industrial company, HEMA, in 2008, the subject of the LNG project. And at the beginning already we understood that important to have the alternative, because we have to think about a mixture of the LNG, of the natural gas imported by the pipeline and LNG. It means to have flow from two sides. It's one thing. Next point, the decision concerning the pipeline you have mentioned, interconnection with Europe. It's Lithuanian-Poland interconnection. It's quite realistic, and it will be realized if the government will be firm to fulfill it, in the terms of they have a political support from the industries and even from the various parts of the sides of politicians. Next point, what we hear, that LNG production in 2012, it's 380 BCM. And what we have the near plans for 2018, we have already 520 BCM.
It's going to be eaten by China?
Yeah, from one hand, but you know that, again, being a commercial person, that the markets, it's impossible, even it's a high risk, to concentrate on this, how to call them, economic tigers. Because you probably remember the famous joke when the professor asking student where you can meet the tiger. The student answering, "Dear professor, I really would like to meet a tiger." That's in terms of stability of the market, and Europe would be always very important for the suppliers, like Norway companies, like even the American companies with their declarations, even with the Algeria, Nigeria, or even if, let's say, like Libya will start to explore their potentials, it could happen, probably a little bit later. And the European market always was stable, and we have to think about that. That's some kind of political measures. When we will think only about that everything will go to the China or India, already probably the world business society is quite fulfilled by these dreams, and why the industries are coming back, financial resources, even from the investment terms of the financial bonds, investments in the Asia. If I would propose for you to invest in this part of the world, probably you will choose the European funds. It's more stable. And taking into account all these measures, a European market will be supported by this. And if we would use, or we will think about the hub, which is equal like Zeebrugge, 180 BCM, it's probably risk. We are thinking about the hub, what was shown by our Estonian colleague. It's a 10 BCM, let's say a little bit more or less. At the beginning could be as a LNG 6 BCM. It's an amount which we could manage in terms of stability of supply, and of course in terms of stability of the volumes.
Yeah, please, Ando.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe I will just compliment and first of all, I fully agree what you have said. Maybe one single aspect in here, that the US export terminals are going to be built mostly to the East Coast. So transportation costs are quite high to Asia, which also has impact to price. But another issue in here, that when we are discussing on LNG terminal, then well, in today's LNG prices or spot prices, most likely you are somewhere in the edge to play against the kind of pipeline gas from or price of the pipeline gas from Russia. I mean, you are almost in the market. Depends on how big is the terminal. So to receive 160,000 cubic meter tanker, then the terminal have to be in the size as well, like this. But the other issue is that if you are looking for the terminal capex, and you are taking the amortization period of 40 years, for example, then it constitutes in the end consumer gas price. I mean, depending on the capex or investment cost itself, but roughly some 3 to 4%. So this is actually the percentage what we are comparing against the natural gas price itself, increase or decrease. So basically, this LNG terminal couldn't be the subject to decrease the gas price so much, but at least to make it stable and to balance the kind of price influences from this current one single supplier. So I think this is what we are looking for, at least in Estonia. That I mean, there should be market price for the product. Either it's electricity, either it's gas, or something like this. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I might only finally add, at the moment, export capacities or liquefaction capacities are much higher than demand, despite in some places of the world prices are high. And 6 terminals exactly waiting for permits in Louisiana and Georgia in United States to start exports. This is what I said about. This is a agreement is very important, transatlantic trade agreement. So I believe exporters are anxiously waiting for Klaipėda terminal to start their business. This is my strong belief. So with that, I using my opportunity to thank you very much, Ando Leppäman, Rimas and Tadas for coming. That was very helpful. And now I give to our sponsor and main master, Robert Zīle, the final word.
I hope not that I'm playing only sponsor role. So, well, I would like to also give a floor to Gattis Abele, who is who would like to present very short possible school LNG terminal. That would be very interesting. Gattis Abele has a long experience with energy sector, working also in the public sector, now in the private.
Paldies, Robert, un es tiešām novērtēju pa iespēju šodien īsumā paskatīties uz šīm iespējām, kas mums ir Baltijas tirgū no pavisam nelielas ostas. Jā. No pavisam nelielas ostas perspektīvas, kas mums ir Latvijā, daudz Latvijā pat īsti nezinu, kur atrodas Kultas osta, bet pirmais, ko es teikšu, ka tā ir osta vistuvāk Inčkalna krātuvei. Inčkalna pazemes gāzes krātuvei prezentācijas gaitā, es patiešām 5 minūtes paņemšu jūsu laika, mēs nonāksim līdz tā kolosālai unikalitātei, kas ir šobrīd mums Inčkalns un kāda varētu būt, ja mēs iegūstam kombināciju ar regazifikācijas jaudām. Bet mēs jau ļoti daudz šodien esam dzirdējuši par tām izmaiņām, ko mēs novērojam pasaulē. Un tas ir pirmām kārtām jaudu palielinājumu Austrālijā, ne ASV. ASV šobrīd līdz 18. gadam ir paredzēts tikai viens termināls, eksporta termināls nodot eksploatācijā. Tas ir Sabine Pass, Luizjānā, bet vēl 2 ir sagaidām, kad 2 gadu vēlāk, tas ir Free Pass un Golden Gate, bet pārējo termināli, protams, raugās uz cenu izmaiņām, kādas ir pasaulē. Taču būtiski atzīmēt, ka LNG vērtību ķēde nav tikai eksporta termināli, tas ir ieguve, eksporta termināls, transports un patēriņš. Un visiem tiem ir jāpieaug vienlaicīgi, lai mēs varētu runāt par būtisku efektu uz tirgu. Taču viens aspekts, ko šodien es neesmu dzirdējis, ir Japānas situācija, kad pamazām Japānas regulators sāk vērtēt ar vien jaunu šo atomreaktoru nodošanu atpakaļ eksploatācijā, un mēs zinām, ka tieši Japānas, Korejas hubu cenas pieaugums balstījās uz lielu un strauju dabasgāzes patēriņu pieaugumu dēļ atomjaudām. Un vēl viens aspekts, ko noteikti ir mums jāņem vērā, Krievijas un Ķīnas attiecības. Šobrīd joprojām notiek intensīvas sarunas par cenu līmeņu fiksēšanu gan Novatek līgumos, gan Gazprom līgumos starp šīm valstīm. Ja mēs daudz esam dzirdējuši par jaunām eksporta jaudām šobrīd pasaulē, taču ja mēs salīdzinām mūsu Latvijas un Baltijas tirgu, ir tikai šīs 2 ir saprātīgi attālumā, lai mēs varētu runāt, kad transporta izmaksas nenoēd lielāko daļu no iegūmiem, kas varētu rasties no šādu jaudu pieejamības tirgumu. Tā ir Angolas un Sabine Pass termināļa jaudas, kas plānotas ir nodot līdz šim 17. gadam. Taču mums jāņem vērā, ka pārējās jaudas tiešām ir mērķētas uz Korejas un Japānas tirgiem, un īpaši jau ņemot vērā šobrīd lielo Japānas patēriņu atomreaktoru slēgšanas dēļ, bet arī nākotnes patēriņu Ķīnā un visā Dienvidu Austrumu Āzijā ir šo Austrālijas termināļu, kas ir ar lielu atstatumu vislielākās jaudas, kas paredzams, kas nonāks pasaules tirgu, mērķa tirgus. Taču mēs tikpat labi saprotam, ka mēs varētu novērot jau pēc 17. gada situāciju, kāda visā Eiropā bija 2010. gadā, kad Eiropas hubu cenas faktiski reflektēja apmierināto šo pieprasījumu visā pasaulē. Te ir viens interesants fakts par Krievijas lomu Eiropas patēriņā. Mēs redzam, ka tieši Krievijas loma visā pasaulē lielākais eksportētājs saglabāsies un vēl pat pieaugs. Un joprojām Eiropas Savienība būs lielākais importētājs. Mazliet pārspīlēt, bieži vien ekspertu prezentācijās ir ASV loma. ASV ir lielākais gāzes ražotājs jau pārdzamā nākotnē un saglabās šo pozīciju, taču ietekmi uz pasaules tirgiem ir gaužām neliela. Neskatoties patiešām uz vairāku eksporta termināļu licenču izņemšanu un iespējamu attīstību. Baltijas tirgus efekti lielā mērā tika jau apskatīti. Viena neliela detaļa saskaņā ar mūsu analīzi šobrīd Gazprom cenu politika, protams, ir tāda dažkārt iznīcinoša, īpaši jau sensitīviem patērētājiem, taču Gazprom tirgus daļa visdrīzāk arī līdz 20. gadam būtiski nemainīsies, un vismaz 2/3 no Somijas un Baltijas tirgus šis uzņēmums ir spējīgs saglabāt, ņemot vērā šīs elastības attiecībā uz piegāžu cenu nosacījumiem. Tieši Baltijas patēriņu tirgus jūtīgums attiecībā uz tirgus cenām nosaka šobrīd kopējos patēriņu līmeņus. Un mēs redzam, ka energopatērētāji, elektroenerģijas ražotāji, siltumražotāji un industriālie patērētāji ir ārkārtīgi jūtīgi attiecībā uz savu patēriņu apjomiem un gāzes cenas. Septembrī mūsu biedrība veica salīdzinājumu Eiropas hubiem vidējo cenu NBP un Zēbruge, piemērojot potenciālu Inčukalna elastību un tirgus nosacījumus. Mēs konstatējām, ka vidēji ar visām transporta izmaksām, registrācijas izmaksām, uzglabāšanas izmaksām tirgū Baltijas LNG potenciālā cena, vērtējot pret šo hubu cenu, vidēji gadā ir būt devusi iegūmu vismaz 90 miljonus eiro. Un šobrīd to arī apliecina Eiropas komisijas cenu salīdzinājumu dažādos tirgos, ko reizi ceturksnī publicē, un tiešām Baltija, tāpat kā atsevišķi citas Eiropas Savienības valsts vairumtirdzniecībā, patiešām maksā ievērojami augstāku cenu nekā lielākā daļa tirgi. Mēs runājam par nepieciešamību entry-exit modeļu ieviešanai, jo mēs redzam, ka vienu pašu termināļu ietekme visdrīzāk ir ierobežot, īpaši jau tie termināļi, kur šobrīd vēl nav tehniskas jaudas padot pietiekams apjoms pa visu Baltijas tirgu. Un pat Latvijas situācijā, neskatoties uz to, ka spiedienu režīmi ir tādi, ka tas varētu nodrošināt visu tirgu apgādi, taču entry-exit modelis ir ārkārtīgi svarīgs, kaut vai ņemot vērā nepieciešamību izmantot maksimāli šo Inčukalnu elastību. Mēs esam arī salīdzinājuši vairākas iespējas, kas būtu viss izmaksas ziņās efektīvākie risinājumi. Un mūsu secinājums ir, ka patiešām uzglabāšanas izmaksas pašā terminālī sastāda gandrīz 80%. Un ja mēs izmantotu regazifikācijas risinājumu tāds, kas šobrīd ir piedāvāts Kultas gadījumā, mēs iegūstam 3 līdz 4 reizes zemākas kapitāla izmaksas. Mēs šeit izmantojām visnobriedušāko LNG terminālu projektu Klaipēdā, bet līdzīgi dati arī parāda šo situāciju attiecībā uz Somiju. Un patiešām regasifikācijas iespēja, tātad vienas platformas izmantošana bez uzglabāšanas, ir ārkārtīgi retās vietās pasaulē. Viens darbojošs termināls liels jaudas ir NBP hub ietvaros Lielbritānijā, atsevišķi mazi ir Norvēģijā, taču nevienā vietā Eiropā nav situācija, ka osta atrodas tik tuvu dabasgāzes pazemes krātuvē, kas varētu nodrošināt liels jaudas un nopietnu tirgus apjomus caur šādu veidu risinājumu. Mēs mazliet pieskārāmies arī piegāžu modeļiem. Bieži vien tā ir tā tēma, kur mēs mēģinām apiet, jo tā tiešām ir problēma. Ja mēs skatāmies uz klasisko terminālu, mums jārunā ir par take-or-pay līgumiem. Mēs nevaram nodrošināt visu LNG vērtību ķēdi, ja mums nav stabils noiets potenciāliem patērētājiem, potenciāliem eksportētājiem un oportunistiski tirdzniecība caur augsts kapitāla izmaksas termināļiem ir salīdzinoši ierobežota. Arī dēļ tā, ka regulāras piegādes tomēr prasa salīdzinoši ierobežotās uzglabāšanas jaudas. Savukārt spot marketi nav tas brīnums, kas vienmēr glābs no augstajām cenām, jo spot market būtība ir tāda, ka tās cenas ir zemes tikai tad, kad nevienam šī gāze nav nepieciešama. Taču šie atsevišķie fleksiblie regasifikācijas risinājumi ļauj piemēroties tieši šiem punktiem un nodrošināt šo cenu efektu tieši arī no spot marketiem. Taču pat Kultas termināļa gadījumā mēs nevaram runāt par vienu vai otru piegāžu portfeli, tas visdrīzāk būs kombinēts. atšķirībā no klasiskajiem augstu kapitāla izmaksu termināļiem ar uzglabāšanas iespējām, skultas termināļa gadījumā take-or-pay līguma proporcija varētu būt ievērojami zemāka. Un šeit jau mēs neliela daži slaidi par šo tehnisko risinājumu. Tas ir peldoša regasifikācijas platforma, kas pie kuras regulāri vai netik regulāri, tam nav nozīme, pietavojās LNG kuģi, kas varbūt arī shuttle kuģi no Svinušķas vai Klaipēdas termināļiem, un par pazemes horizontālā urbuma un tālāk augstspiediena cauruļvadu tiek nodot sistēmā Inčkalnu virzienā. Un nepieciešamās izmaiņas, ņemot vērā, ka mums šeit ir joprojām atsevišķi deputāti, mūsu prāta tātad biedrības, kas šobrīd ir partnerībā ar lielāko LNG transporta kompāniju pasaulē, BV, mēs šobrīd attīstot šo projektu, mēs redzam 3 būtiskas lietas, kas mums ir jāņem vērā enerģētikas likuma grozījuma kontekstā. Vispirmām kārtām ir tiesības izvēlēties piegādātājus. Vēl ministra Kariņa laikā tika veikt grozījumi enerģētikas likumā, kas paredzēja, ka šīs tiesības tiks nodrošināts jau 14. gada aprīlī. Šobrīd esošie grozījumi, protams, paredz, ņemot vērā privatizācijas līguma nosacījums, paredz šo lietu atlikt, bet te ir ļoti svarīgi, ka mums līdz ar privatizācijas līguma beigām, kā minimums, ir nepieciešams šī 42. panta iedarbināšana tiesības lielajiem patērētājiem izvēlēties piegādātāju. Otra ļoti svarīga lieta ir entry-exit tirgus modeļa izveide. Ne tikai Latvijā, kas šobrīd ir Pāvļuta piedāvājumā, ir jau paredz šādu deleģējumu ministru kabinetam. Mums ir nepieciešams visas Baltijas līmeņa entry-exit modelis, lai mēs neciestu zaudējumus dēļ tirgus sadalījumu, kad 3 mazi tirgi, kas kopā joprojām neveido lielu tirgu, ir katrs ar savu tirgus regulējumu. Un visbūtiskākais no ilgtermiņa gāzes cenu, no patērētāju interešu viedokļa, ir jaudu sadalījums Inčkalnu krātuvē. Jo jaudu sadalījumu krātuvē, kādu šobrīd ir ieguvusi Klaipēdas termināļa kompānija, 100 miljonu kubikmetru, kā tas presē ir izskanējis, tas nav elastīgs jaudu sadalījums. Šai krātuvē pēc 17. gada ir jākalpo tieši patērētāju interesēs un ir jāpiemēro jau zināmas jaunas jaudu sadalas iespējas, ko piedāvā prizmas sistēma, kas ir nesen sākt ieviest visā Eiropas Savienībā. Un šeit arī lieta noderētu, ka tas jau notiktu vienotā Baltijas entry-exit tirgus ietvarā. Bet šeit es gribu atzīmēt, ka šobrīd valdībai un saimai ir jāturās neatkarīgi no valdības veidošanas rezultātu pie Daniela Pauļuta uzsāktā šī liberalizācijas ceļa, jo būsim godīgi, ja mēs salīdzinām šo tirgus attīstību, regulācijas virzību, tad nenoliedzam Danielam izdevies ir spērt vislielāko soli. Ne bez kritikas, ne bez problēmām, bet te ir viena svarīga lieta, ka attiecībā uz privatizācijas līgumu mēs nedrīkstam nonākt arbitrāžā. Ja mēs būsim arbitrāžā, mēs faktiski jau ietekmēsim arī potenciālās investīcijas nākotnē, jo tirgos un regulācijās, kur privāti investori nonāk tiesās, nav labs signāls. Neatkarīgi no investīciju veida, bet enerģētika ir ilgtermiņa investīcija. Un šobrīd es aicinātu tomēr Latvijas gāzes akcionāriem, Gazprom un EON vienoties par nosacījumiem, un kas ir ieviešam un kas nav ieviešam līdz 17. gadam. Paldies!
Jā, paldies Gatim Abelem, un es domāju, tā kā mēs to oficiālo debatu esam beiguši, bet mums vēl ir iespējas savā starpā parunāt. Tātad es aicinātu visus uz izējot ārā no šīs Eiropas mājas, līdz pat 0. stāvā varētu, pamatstāvā ir ieeja pa labi, tur mūs gaida zināms uzkodas un arī šis tas vēl. Un tā, tiešām tur varam arī paturpināt šo sarunu. Un es vēlreiz gribētu pateikties arī par tulkojumu. Paldies jums, ļoti bija grūti. Es pieņemu, ka mēs runājam diezgan ātri, tā skaitā es. Un paldies jums par šo darbu un visiem par interesanto dalību. Paldies. Līdz nākošajai reizei.